Winds in the east, mist coming in, like something's in brewing and about to begin. Can't put my finger on what lies in store, but I feel what's happened all happened before.
Reflux capacitors, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for Mary Poppins, 1964. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Fix spot, and off we go.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I am your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul. What's your name now, Paul? Oh, PaulJPowers.com.
Hey, I'm ready to step in time.
That's great, Paul. Also, for this discussion of the film Mary Poppins, we welcome back aboard several guests. In fact, they're all members of Team Ruiz, and that we're going to start with my wonderful wife, Administrative Officer Ashley Ruiz. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Of course. Glad to have you back. And now, returning from her appearance on 101 Dalmatians, we welcome back. She went by Little Miss back then, but now she's going by Womp Queen. Hey, Womp Queen, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Oh, good. And now, making his podcast debut, we welcome aboard Womp Queen's brother, Womp King. Hey, Womp King.
Hi.
Hello. So glad you're all here. And now that you have a quick flyby over who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Mary Poppins?
All right. Sure thing. Mr. Popper's Penguins was released June 17th.
Paul.
What?
I never said anything about penguins or poppers or jalapenos.
So close.
No?
This is Mary Poppins from 1964.
So close, yet so far away. Although both were originally books.
That's great.
That could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
I'll have to watch the right one now. Okay. Mary Poppins was released August 27th, 1964, and runs 2 hours and 19 minutes. That's a lot longer than Mr. Popper's Penguins. It's rated G and was directed by Robert Louis Stevenson. No, wait, not Louis, just Robert Stevenson.
Yes, it's Robert Stevenson.
It was written by Bill Walsh, Don DeGotti, and based on P.L. Travers' book, or books, I should say.
Oh, okay, books.
With lead stars being Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke, David Tomlinson, and music composed by Irwin Kostal.
And the Sherman Brothers,
you ready for
which I neglected? My apologies, Sherman Brothers.
Yeah, Sherman Brothers. I was about to say, may you rest in peace, but one has passed, one has not yet.
Okay.
You ready for the box office trivia?
I'm ready. So, Ashley and Womp Kids, you're going to just make a guess as to how well this movie did in the box office after Paul gives us the numbers. Go for it, Paul.
All right. Mary Poppins was made for about $5 million and earned over $103 million in the box office.
Cha-ching. Well done, Mary Poppins.
And since this movie came out before 1975, box office earnings were not documented enough to play the box office trivia game.
Okay, then never mind. We won't play. But I heard it I think it was number 1 or number 2 from the IMDb trivia.
Who knows? I blame Mad Dog 10.
Well, it would have done so well just based on those numbers alone.
Right? Totally.
Yeah.
All right, well, then never mind. No trivia game this time. That's okay. Ooh. But thank you for those factoids and lack of factoids, Paul. And
You're welcome.
Let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Mary Poppins!
Spread the word, the big word.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Supercalifragilistic.
It's Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke with the year's last and biggest word in motion picture entertainment, Mary Poppins. Walt Disney's finest and most unique achievement in magical, whimsical, musical screen entertainment. Watch for Mary Poppins, acclaimed by everyone as Walt Disney's greatest achievement.
That commercial that we totally just watched definitely brings back some memories about Mary Poppins. But to give you some context for the things we collectively remembered, well, 3 of the 5 of us collectively remembered about this film before our rewatch, here's our memory mind meld synopsis for Mary Poppins. The kids misbehave because father's too busy working and mother is too busy fighting for the right to vote, but not be drafted during wartime. So the 2 children write a list of their new nanny's required qualities. Their father, Mr. Banks, works for and get this, a bank, shreds their letter. Joke's on him, the letter still makes it to Maria von Trapp, who flies in from Hogwarts, to discipline the kids with a wooden spoon full of sugar. They then pick up a strange Cockney chimney sweeper, and the 4 of them have magical adventures by going through a chalk pictures and having tea on the ceiling. Victor/Victoria help the Banks solve all of their problems by feeding the birds and flying a kite. So Mr. Banks tells off his bank employers, the Princess Diaries queen flies away, and everyone learns that family is more important than the world. I mean, some of that was true, but I'd say most of it was decepted. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what range did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? So did you think it would, before you guys watched it, did you think it would be a classic? Like, oh, I think I might enjoy this movie. A classic would be, oh yeah, I know I'm going to love this movie. A nostalgic is, maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. Or a tragic, I know I'm not going to like this movie. So I'm going to start with Womp Queen. What was your prediction? Not your final reign of, oh, I loved it or I didn't. But what did you think going into it you would feel about it?
As soon as I saw Bert, I was like, I'm going to love this movie.
So, classic?
That sounds like a classic to me.
How about you, Womp King? Where were you thinking before you watched it? Were you thinking, oh, yeah, or like Mary Poppins, yeah, or Mary Poppins,
I was thinking that it was probably going to be a good movie.
Okay. So
nostalgic.
Nostalgic, maybe?
Yeah, sounds like he has a little bit of hope, not quite as...
What does that mean?
You'll find out in about 10 years.
Yeah.
Ashley, what was your prediction?
Classic. I had fond memories from childhood, and I always remembered it being fun because it was a movie we watched as a family. And my mama's name is Mary, so yeah, classic.
Mary
Classic.
Poppins.
Paul,
Mary Poppins.
How about yourself?
Classic.
Classic. I also thought classic. It's because I remember last time I watched it. I remember really enjoying it. I'm not sure when that was,
Mary Poppins.
However, I do. When I first saw that that length, I was like,
it was a little
really?
daunting. It was a little daunting seeing that
You mean
time
the 2.5 hour time?
Yes.
yes, the 2.5 hour time. But we'll get there in a bit,
good.
because it'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked most about Mary Poppins. Let's spin up our
Best bets.
And I'm going to start with Womp Queen again. What was one thing you liked, not your favorite thing, but one thing you liked about Mary Poppins?
I really like Bert and his amazing sense of humor, silliness, and passion for Jane and Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Hey, Bert.
Ashley, did you like Bert as well, or was there some other character you liked in this film?
Well, I really liked Bert. I have more to speak of that in a little bit.
Okay.
But there was so much to like in this movie. If I'm just going to settle on one thing that I liked, I was going to say I really enjoyed the practical effects, just what they were able to accomplish for the times.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of everything leading up to stepping time, especially all the work on the roof, transitioning across rooftops, and like chimney sweep parkour, and just all that they were able to accomplish between practical effects and scenery and just how well it's held up. They didn't have so much technology, but they made the most of what they had available to them, and it still holds up to this day.
Yeah.
No CG to speak of because it wasn't a thing, but my gracious, it aged beautifully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Womp King, did you like the way the movie looked, or was there something else that you really liked about the film?
What?
What's something you liked about Mary Poppins?
Something I liked about Mary Poppins was Bert.
Bert also, just like your sister.
He's such a likable
so
guy.
Fun.
What was your favorite thing that Bert did in the movie?
Steppy time.
Step in time. Yeah.
No, it's
That's
Steppy
my
time.
favorite song.
You know what? That's mine too. That was on my like list. I loved Step in Time so much.
What's not to like about it?
Not
It's
much.
long.
It is on the longer time, but I like how they would just say something like Mary Poppins, step in time, and then they would just say Bob's your uncle or whatever they would say, and then they would just transition into that. And what was super fun about that number when they brought it into the house and how they had like the interludes of like the mother's song and they had like the songs overlapping stepping time. Like that was so much fun.
Very, very.
Yeah, in fact, when the fireworks are shooting on the roof, they interluded that song as well into the what I mean is the Captain Boom had his own score, his own theme.
Oh, he
so
did.
They
I don't think I
incorporate,
realized that.
Admiral
so
Boom, he's the best.
So that song is actually comprised of like 3 or 4 songs overlapping each other
That's
at
even
different
better.
points.
We're gonna
but
have to go
it's-
back and listen to it.
If it's
Yeah.
a classic, if it's not, then no.
No, we'll just do it anyway.
Paul,
Well, you just said you liked the song, so it's worth just going back for that one part.
Paul, were the songs the things you would go back for because you like them, or something else make your like list?
Oh, absolutely. But I'm going to go back to Bert and the rest of the cast in general. I'm going to say that I thought this movie was really well cast, especially like we talked about Bert, and Ashley's going to talk about more, and so I'll say a little bit more about that later as well. But like, even like the Banks family, like the fact that they all have like chubby cheeks and they look like they could be a real family in real life. I love that, and everyone did great in it.
Awesome. Yeah, I could totally see that they do look like a familial unit in this film. Since we have 5 of us tonight, we're just going to go right into our classic makers now, though.
What?
So let's begin with Womp King this time. What was your favorite thing about Mary Poppins, Womp King?
My favorite thing about Mary Poppins was because I loved Steppy time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was something else you liked? Since you said that already, so what was something else you liked about the film?
Something else I liked is
Hey, Bud, did you like any of the animation, like the animated characters in the movie, like the penguins or
the deer.
or some of the animals
I liked
in there?
Mary Poppins and her songs.
Yeah,
she
that's
has some good
really
songs.
good. She really does. Julie Andrews is so talented.
Yes.
I forgot. I can't believe this. The impeccable casting of Julie Andrews is just.
You can't think of anyone else being Mary Poppins. I mean,
Still holds up. I'm
sequel says
sorry,
otherwise.
Emily
This is-
Blunt, but
I love Emily
Yeah.
Blunt, but
I mean,
she's no Julie Andrews.
she did a good job, but Julie Andrews just knocks it way out of the park.
Yeah.
No, she is Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was reading IMDb trivia that apparently she was actually trying to be the lead in My Fair Lady, but
Yes,
they
because
wanted-
she had won awards on Broadway for
She
doing
had.
that.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know
But they
that.
went with
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn
Audrey
instead.
who apparently can't sing, which
No,
is
she
like,
can't.
wow.
She
that's
can't.
But the reason why is because Julie Andrews never did really movies any. She was well known in the
theater. Oh,
where
okay.
Audrey Hepburn was more established in the movie realm. So they were
okay.
trying to do like what Hollywood does now, trying to put like famous names
Stunt
and
casting.
then ruins
Yeah,
it.
hate it. Hate it.
That's
So what if
about
they
right.
won Best Picture that year for the Oscars?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Okay, so that was a great one. Womp King. Womp Queen, what was your classic maker, your favorite thing about Mary Poppins?
My favorite thing in Mary Poppins was Bert. He was so sweet and funny.
So sweet and funny. Yes, he was. And I think you mentioned Bert before, though, didn't you? Wasn't that your other like?
Yeah.
So give us one other bonus like then, since you.
Steppy time.
Oh my God, you guys did Steppy time.
Everyone loves stepping. Francisco, your family loves that number. It's hard not to imagine not loving it because it's just so energetic, and you can't take your eyes away from Bert during that scene because he's got so much energy, and the chimney sweeps are just loving life in those moments.
What about the poor bird lady and tuppence? Like, give me a tuppence.
Slow and boring.
Okay, fine, Paul.
Sorry, we don't
Fine.
revisit the bird lady. They wanted to just feed the dang birds, but then she's gone. You missed your chance, and you'll never have it again.
Oh, fine, guys.
It's a great little tune.
Actually,
I do like the bird lady.
I'm giving you a chance to give us your classic maker for Mary Poppins.
Well, just color me a Dick Van Dyke fanatic because Bert is the best thing in this entire movie. As much as I love the Banks family, as much as I love Julie Andrews as Mary Poppins, Dick Van Dyke is just a Hollywood phenomenon. He is an icon. He sells this movie in every scene that he's in. He is so believable as this character. He has ties to the whole community and all the characters. He's like an everyman. He shows up everywhere. He has a relationship with everyone. And it just makes the movie that much more fulfilling and wonderful. And he's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
his accent may be terrible, but he has so much heart in his character.
Yeah.
He's charming and likable. And you just can't not love his character.
I love that.
Yeah, he's very lovable. And apparently his accent coach actually had a worse accent than he did. So
that makes it even more funny.
And in the books,
ahead,
he's not an actual character in the books. He's actually an amalgamation,
Yeah,
if that's a word,
Yeah.
of several different characters in the books. So he was created, this role was created, so he just, he knocked it out of the park.
Dick Van Dyke just is Bert. He epitomizes him, and I can't see anybody else. And he's just so magnanimous. You just can't.
Take that, Lin-Manuel.
Does he play Bert in the Mary Poppins
Bert
Returns?
wannabe.
The Bert wannabe,
wannabe.
he's like a lamplighter, and he was like a trainee under Bert or something because Bert's not in Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I know Dick Van Dyke is, but as the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Whatever. Okay, fine. Sorry.
I haven't on a movie I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. So how could it be a spoiler if we haven't seen it? Yeah,
I
that's
know
right.
of it, but I haven't seen
Well, I can tell you spoilers of movies I haven't
Okay,
seen
never
either.
mind, Paul. But I want you spoiled for us, Paul, your classic maker for Mary Poppins.
Mine is the music by the Sherman Brothers.
Yeah.
It's just that soundtrack never gets old for me. I
All of
listen to
it? Really?
All of it.
Wow,
Sometimes
okay.
not all of it, but sometimes all of it. It's just like Move Over Rogers and Hammerstein, like the Sherman Brothers, I think are the quintessential song and lyricist combination. I know some people like the later, like, what's his,
Alan Rice?
Sorry.
Tim Rice?
Yeah.
Ashman and Menken from like the
Yes.
Disney Renaissance.
Yes,
From like
that's
Beauty,
exactly what I
from
was
like
thinking.
Little Mermaid onward, but no, I feel
Yeah.
like you make a great point, Paul, that like they epitomize the live action genres of like the 60s and 70s because their music is iconic. Their songs are recognizable.
Right.
And you can't
it still holds up
It
today.
does still hold up today. You can't think of Mary Poppins without Spoonful of Sugar or Supercalifragilistic or Jolly Holiday or Chim Chimney and Step in Time.
You brought it up. I was curious because I couldn't say the word for a long time. I'm wondering if the little womps there can actually say the word.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Yeah.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
That's pretty good. How about you, Wompkin?
I can't say it. It's too hard.
It's tough.
What is it? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. If you say it loud enough, it always sounds precocious. Dun, 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 dun.
Was that your test, Paul?
No, I was just curious because
okay.
I don't remember the age, but I remember being little trying to say it.
I could say it, and my dad would always tell me it wasn't the longest word. He would always correct me and try to tell me that the longest word in the English language was like anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Yeah.
That's what he would say was the
well done, you
longest
said it.
word. I'm like, but supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is way more fun to say, Dad.
Yeah.
And then he would just...
You can say it backwards, which is docious ali expiastic fragicalirupus, but that's going a bit too far.
It is going a bit too far. Exactly.
Indubitably.
That's right, Mary Poppins.
Well, you know what? I'm not. Apparently, I feel none of you went far enough with your classic makers because really, the thing that I love the most is the heart of this film, and that's that the parents realize, Mr. Banks and Mrs. Banks realize that they ignored their kids the whole movie, and that actually their family unit's more important than their individual pursuits, whether it's Mr. Banks trying to climb the corporate bank ladder or Mrs. Banks trying to be a suffragette, that those things are fleeting, and their relationships with their kids are the things that matter the most. So
That's really sweet and wholesome, husband.
thank you. I
Has
thought
he
so
been?
too. But
slow and boring.
Wow. Thanks for that.
And I think you get particularly sentimental at things like that because you're a parent yourself. And
exactly.
Like as time, you
I
realize
wouldn't have
time
as a kid for sure.
No, absolutely not. But especially as time goes on, you just realize like the days are long and the years are short, and time is precious and fleeting, and kids are only young once. So, and I think especially in this season, you're like, yep, I'm a dad. This is so important to be here for my family. And you put yourself in Mr. Banks' shoes and you're like, I want to be there for my kids.
Exactly.
One of the scenes I thought was slow and boring as a kid was the where towards the end where Bert, the chimney sweep, is talking to Mr. Banks in the living room, and they're having that conversation, which Francisco's talking about.
Oh my gosh.
But as an adult, you really appreciate the layers and how, absolutely.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying about Bert earlier, how he has relationships with everybody, how he talked to the kids about their father, and how he talked to Mr. Banks about the children, and he tried to give them poise and like understand like each other's perspectives, because he was just so aware of all of everyone's goings-ons, and he was able to orchestrate those conversations and help bring understanding.
Absolutely.
See, Bert MVP of Mary Poppins.
Awesome. Well, there's there's lots to like about this, and
what did you forget?
I did forget
One more thing.
I knew it.
Yes, one more thing.
And I told you at the start. Did you forget anything?
But no.
He always does this.
But no. He always does this.
He always forgets this. But he forgets a different thing every single time.
Dad.
Yes.
When are you gonna ask us about the bad part of the
This is coming up, but I forgot something else I like, guys.
super duper califragilistic?
The Cellcast. The Cellcast, hosted by Jacob and Drew, review animated movies and TV shows discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes. Whether it's a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or 3D CGI series, check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to The Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a single L and a C at thecellcast, CELCAST.podbean.com.
That's great, Francisco. And the guys at the Cellcast are great, but what does that have to do with Mary Poppins?
Well, they're actual people, and they review animated films. It's like being inside an animated film, just like Mary Poppins is inside an animated sequence.
Wow.
It's the animated sequences inside a live-action film. It's a little bit different, but I guess you're close enough.
Yeah, when I watched this movie, I didn't think at all about the Cellcast, so I got to hand it to you.
Okay, all right. I guess it wasn't technically a connection. How about some trivia about Mary Poppins? Would that be better for you, Paul?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm also really good at looking.
Did you all realize that in several interviews, Richard M. Sherman, one of the Sherman brothers, stated that his nephew Jeff came home reporting he had a polio vaccine administered to him on a lump of sugar, and that this was the inspiration for the song "A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down." The vaccine was probably not the Salk vaccine, as it was stated, which was injected, but the Sabin vaccine, which was served on probably like Megazords or something like that. No, served to millions of school children.
That's Saban.
In a spoon with a cube of sugar. So my question to you all is, would you rather have to, so listen to this. This is, you're going to have to focus.
Okay.
So this is a would you rather right now.
All right.
Would you rather have to take all your medicines as a shot? So you need some cold medicine, gotta get a shot. You need your tetanus, you need a shot. Every time you need any type of medicine, maybe Pepto-Bismol tablets, no, you have to take a shot. But you could have candy whenever you wanted. It's free. You could have it whenever you want.
Whoa.
Or
without any cavities?
Without any cavities, there's no repercussions. You just get candy whenever you want. But all your medicine, shot. Or you never get sick again. You're never going to get sick. You'll still die eventually, but you're never going to get sick. You're going to get cancer. You're not going to get cold. You're not going to get anything. But you can never have candy ever again. Which would you rather do? I'm going to start with Ashley this time, as the kids think, as Paul thinks.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Ask the clarifying question. I already got my answer.
if I take the shot, is it one time and that's for all the shots?
No, every time you need medicine, it's another shot.
Dang it.
This is easy. This is so easy. I don't flinch at getting shots, so as long as I can have candy, I'm good.
I'm going to take my candy by shot.
Yeah, I'll just take all the candy because honestly, I don't care. I mean, I'd rather be sick.
Yeah.
I'd rather be sick but have candy. So just give me the shot. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right.
I'm fine. Just give me the shots. I'll take all the candy. If you're afraid of shots, I won't even share my candy with you because it's all mine.
Wow. So, Paul, I'm going to save you, but let's go to Womp King next. What would you choose, Womp King?
I would rather choose don't be sick and have no candy because I think it's healthy to have
Good
no candy.
choice.
That is a wise choice. But everybody who's here, maybe not Paul, but I'm a candy addict. So
If I could never get sick, I would give up candy. I could be fine with fruit. Yes, I would. I would do it.
You're giving up candy until Easter.
Well, yes.
we did give
are
up
doing
refined sugar, but I'm like, I'm fine with shots. But I love candy. And can I say, since Ash Wednesday started, it has been very, very hard
Yes.
for the adults in the Ruiz household.
Yes. But we're making it through. Wow. Thanks, Paul. Womp Queen, how about you? What would you choose?
Well, Ashley took all of the candy.
What?
There is no candy now.
No, what would you choose just hypothetically?
Hypothetically,
Between those two.
Ashley took all of the candy.
Okay, you're not going to answer the question. That's fine.
So
Paul,
you'd rather
I'd
not
have
get
all the candy in the world, even though
then
I
you'd get shots. You'd get shots with me, and we'd eat the candy.
I hate shots, but yes, I would take 1,000,000 shots for like 20 fun.
All right.
Okay, so we'd get shots and we'd have candy. Y'all would never be sick, but y'all would not know what true happiness is.
Oh my gosh. Paul, how
Just
about you?
kidding.
On this one, I am with Team Womp King. I would.
Because you don't like shots. Needles is one
of my phobias.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's more because I'm becoming an old man now, and that the health part of me, I've grown to appreciate the health a little bit more. So I would say no candy, no shots, but never get sick. I've been sick so many times. To be able to not go through that again. Heaven's going to be glorious.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
But is there candy in heaven?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there's candy in heaven.
But it's holy, like Lifesaver. And great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
That was fun. More candy for
And
me.
now that we've all had some trivial fun with candies and shots, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Mary Poppins.
Awesome. From Locals, Detunct says, the wind blowing the applicants away, probably the first time I saw an umbrella go inside out, practically perfect in every way. A spoonful of sugar, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, laughing on the ceiling, old men at the bank who are really Dick Van Dyke, feeding pigeons, tuppence equals 2 pennies, a run on the bank, kites go fly a kite.
Celeste from Geek Devotion says, I love the penguin scene in Mr. Popper's Penguins. No, she didn't say
Oh my
that.
gosh.
She says, I love the penguin scene as well as the scene where Uncle Albert was floating on the ceiling. Oh, I love Uncle Albert. Sorry, that's me saying it again. She goes on to say, it was one of my favorites as a child. Also part of where my ability to play with different accents came from because I tried to sing the songs the way the actors did. Oh, fun.
Oh, cool. Very nice. From Facebook, Stephanie Woolley says, I went to the play one time as a school trip, back in the 80s. Oh, cool.
Wow. Kevin Joshua Burnham says, everyone at school thought they were the hot stuff because they could spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious without skipping a beat. Yet they couldn't get an A in spelling for words like refrigerator, preposterous, or certificate. Other than that, Mary Poppins is a nice, cute film with lovely, charming songs that are easy to sing along to, with brightly cheerful animated scenes and a repulsive English accent by Dick Van Dyke. All made by the corporate greedy mongrel Walt Disney in search for more money.
Wow.
That tracks.
Wardale White says, a lot. I remember you didn't want to watch it on ABC. Luckily, I saw it through the Disney Channel shortly after it launched. People give a lot of gunk about Dick Van Dyke in it. I thought he was fine. Julia Andrews was great as Mary Poppins, and I like seeing Edwin in this.
Stephen Forrester says
Uncle Albert.
everything.
Oh my.
I watched this movie dozens of times while growing up, again after getting married, and now with my kids. It's an amazing movie. The cast was perfect, the music was wonderful, and Step in Time still makes me get up and dance. And I'll passionately defend Dick Van Dyke with my dying breath. Yes.
Yes.
His accent was horrible, but that is because he made it up with no coaching.
But he had a coach. I'm so confused.
He goes on to say, otherwise, his acting, singing, chemistry with Julie Andrews, and especially his dancing were great.
Who Will Save Generation X podcast says, I remember Dick Van Dyke's awful fake British Cockney accent.
Oh, there's a lot of comments on that. Michael Fraley says, what I primarily remember is that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Also, something about penguins flying with an umbrella. Everything in my head pertained to this movie is like a fever dream.
Benjamin T. Van Dypen says, one of my favorites. I remember it all.
Tori Lachelle Miller says, I went through tons of VHS tapes because I watched it so much. I still love watching it to this day. I love every part of this movie.
Oh my gosh. Nathan James Norman says, I didn't realize how much this movie meant to me until I was watching Mary Poppins Returns and Dick Van Dyke shows up. I began tearing up and was overcome with emotion.
Hashtag best part. Hashtag spoiler.
Wow.
All right. Drew Dodgen said, hey, I got it right that time.
Good job.
Drew Dodgen says, Dick Van Dyke can't do a Cockney accent to save his life. It has a great hybridization of cell animation and live action. As a kid, I thought the songs in The Sound of Music were somehow also in this.
Oh, interesting. And then finally from Discord, Sean the Nekomata says, I remember being in love with the live action and animation. Blending it was like an early Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Space Jam, or, well, you get the idea.
Super.
Yeah, you know what? It is hard to say. And there are some things that were just hard to watch in this movie. And let's get into those things right now.
Worst clothes.
And I'm going to kick things off because a lot of people mentioned this. Actually, no, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. You guys seem to love this, but I'm gonna save it and go with just my dislike, and that's the pacing in this film seems to fluctuate a lot. It goes from this is good, even pace, then let's slow it down, and let's go back up, and let's go slow it down, and let's go back. I'm just like, can we please have a good pacing that escalates to Step in Time and finishes? That'd be great. But no, that's something I disliked about this film.
So you wish the movie kept in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Step in Time movie.
Step in Time, the song kept in time, but the movie itself, the pacing didn't keep in time.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah.
Yeah. You really felt that 2.5 hours at points.
Yes.
I'm curious because as a kid, I tried to watch this all the way through, and maybe it's because by the timing when my parents would start it, but I can never make it through without falling asleep. Like I've seen this movie all the way through. I should say I've seen this movie, I would, without exaggeration, about 20 to 30 times. And I've only seen it all the way through less than 4. So it's, I could completely agree that the length is there, but especially when it gets to that Stay Awake song. As a kid, I could not stay awake. That's really...
I would fall asleep. I would fall asleep at that point too, Paul.
Yeah.
And I just have to second when Francisco was saying about pacing and as a kid and even as an adult, it was hard. Especially like once you got past the halfway point, because when we were actually watching this movie, we didn't watch it all the way through. We watched it over the course of like 2 days.
Yeah.
So we like tried close to split it down. And once we were like at the halfway point, we're like, how much is left?
Halfway.
It was halfway, and it's like, but it feels like there's so much more because the pacing was so inconsistent, and it really like took away from the experience for me because sometimes it felt like there was almost too much going on, and then there wasn't enough subsequently afterwards. So it was so unbalanced.
Yeah, and so it took away enough that it was one of your dislikes.
Yes,
actually? Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. And Womp King, you're getting some compliments on your glasses. They're very nice here. Let's go to you though. What's something you wouldn't compliment this movie on? So something you didn't like about it?
One thing I didn't like about Mary Poppins was the dad's song. The dad's songs.
Yes,
They're really horrible.
Yeah.
I do not like them.
Yeah, they're just like, I didn't like the mom's or the dad's song. They're just like.
Another thing that I really don't like about it is that there's old people at the thing. They're really creepy.
The old people at the
I
bank.
don't like them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Also,
wait. I'm going to come to you for another thing. So save that also. Can you keep it in your head?
Save that thing. But he's so right about the dad songs.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Banks, but he sings, and it's just like, does this
Not always.
Does it need to be set to music? Do you have to have a song?
Yes. Oh, see, as a kid, I could probably agree with King Womp there, but as an adult, I really appreciate it. I enjoy it, and that's part of the whole soundtrack I listen to now. Francis,
I still feel that way now. Even I felt that way as a kid, and I still feel that way now. I guess I didn't grow up that
really?
much.
Oh,
I?
no, I appreciate it, but I'm an old man.
I mean,
so.
he wasn't. He was actually worried about being. I think his name is David Tomlinson, Michael Tomlinson, something like that. He wasn't sure about being in this part because he didn't sing, and he doesn't sing all that much in this. But yeah, I feel like that's just part of the pacing issue. I feel like so many of the early songs they could have just cut. They didn't need them.
I thought.
But I appreciate he did come together at the end, and let's go fly a kite. Like, it's memorable to me and it's sweet, and I can't imagine anyone but him singing it. But
I was about to say he does have a good singing voice.
No, he does.
And that's in bed knobs and broomsticks.
I love him in Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
But let's go to Womp Queen next. What's something you didn't like, Womp Queen?
I did not like Miss. I did not like Mr. Banks in the beginning because he was really rude and mean to his kids and Mary Poppins.
Well, but I mean, that's kind of how things were back then. But I guess he could still have been. It would have been nice if he was nicer. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He was
Mr.
a little
Banks,
dismissive.
be nicer.
He wasn't really nice to anybody. He was kind of that way to his wife, to his housekeepers, to Katie Nana.
That's his
and
MO.
It was just really funny to me. Like, when Katie Nana had quit and she was on his way, he's like, oh, that's a heavy bag. Let me help you. And he kind of like set her on his way without realizing that she had quit.
Yeah.
So that was like almost out of character, him being so helpful in that moment.
Yes.
Because he generally is a little dismissive.
It's actually, he is so focused on what he wants, but he's also trying to be nice, that he's oblivious to everybody else's agendas. He's always focused on his.
Yes, that's a good way of putting
I mean,
it.
didn't Mary Poppins say about him that he was akin to like not being able to see beyond the end of his nose?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, exactly. Paul, where'd you feel like this film couldn't see beyond the end of its nose?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly where. Actually, throughout most of this movie, I was struggling to find some dislikes, and I was like, well, I'll have to come up with some trivial technical stuff that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Until I hit there were like 12 minutes left of the film, and then a whole bunch of dislikes came. But unfortunately, I can only give you 2.
Okay.
So, counting down, my second most disliked thing about this film is when Mary Poppins is leaving the children after the dad gets sacked, and she starts packing up. And then, here, I'll just play this for you.
She doesn't care what happens to us. She only promised to stay till the wind changed. Isn't that right, Mary Poppins?
Will you bring me my hat stand, please?
Mary Poppins, don't you love us?
And what would happen to me, may I ask, if I loved all the children I said goodbye to?
So the kids go away crying, thinking that Mary Poppins doesn't love them, and she's leaving. And that's horrible. Why do you put that in the end? It's just why and when she does care about them, it's just horrible. It's horrible to leave kids like that.
Yeah. I don't get the purpose of it. Is it so she doesn't? it'd be too hard for her to do this.
That's
if
what
she
I would be
were-
thinking. It makes it easier for her to not admit those feelings so she can kind of decompartmentalize and just move on, because you assume that she's talking about all the different families that she's worked with, that this is not the first, it's not going to be the last. It's something that she'll continue to do, and it's something that she does for the children of these children.
And she's probably thinking she's doing it for the kids because, tough love, like, hey, kids, there's going to be people coming and going, and stay close to your family. But it's just horrible the way they treated that part. I don't know why they put that in there.
That's fair. And so that was the thing you didn't like, Paul.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we'll go to...
I think the kids would have been better off if they were told that they were loved.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It would have been like a spoonful of sugar before she left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would have helped that medicine go down, because that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yes.
Thank you. Very well put.
I agree with you, Paul. That was really heartbreaking to see.
Let's go to Womp King next and tell us, what is that thing that you're waiting to tell us from before? Do you remember?
The thing that I didn't like the most out of all of them is the creepy guys at the bank.
Okay, creepy guys at the bank.
Yeah. Did you not like
were
how
so mean.
how he took the money? Wasn't that mean?
And how he yelled at him.
No, how creepy these.
Just how creepy they were. Okay.
Yeah.
They just walk so creepily.
Did you know that main old guy was the same actor that played Bert?
Huh?
Ashley
The
mentioned
thing you loved most and the thing you hated the most is the same thing.
Well,
Just
it's kind of confusing.
It
but that's
It
what
is.
makeup and costumes can do. It just goes to show you, like, the people who worked
That's
behind
really
the scenes, they did a
cool.
really good job making
You know what?
Bert look like a creepy old dude.
I think
Womp King, I was confused too, because when watching that movie, my dad told me, hey, this old guy is really Bert. So I was waiting throughout the whole movie that Bert would come out, like, take off the disguise and say, ha ha, it's just me, Bert, your friendly neighborhood chimney sweep. But no, because I was so confused. He was Bert. Like, how come? Anyway, so
Power
I
of
get
makeup and costumes.
yeah.
Daddy,
Yes.
I think I would rate the movie a 10.
We're almost there, buddy.
Almost there.
Well,
We're almost there.
rate the movie a surprise.
Okay, a
That's
surprise.
that we'll be in suspense.
well done,
waiting
you
for
said
the
10
reason.
out of question mark.
Oh, okay. You mean a question mark out of 10, I think. But yes.
Get a drum roll.
Awesome. So that was Little Mister's Tragic Maker, the thing he didn't like the most. Let's go Little Miss. What's the thing you didn't like the most, Little Miss?
She's not little.
I'm sorry.
Not
She's
so
bigger
little.
than
The
me.
Womp Queen.
Womp Queen. My bad.
And don't you forget it.
Thank you, Paul.
My least favorite thing was Mr. Banks because he was really rude to almost everyone.
I thought that was your other dislike.
No, I didn't say almost everyone. I just said the kids in Mary Poppins.
So no matter
Okay.
what, he was just mean to everybody. So
Yeah.
But-
you didn't like that he was mean to the kids. You didn't like that he was mean to Mary Poppins. Were there any other things that you didn't like?
Well, I'm just gonna say, who's gonna look after him? He can't go to anyone with his problems. He doesn't really listen to the kids' problems. He doesn't really listen to his wife's problems. Well, he doesn't really listen, but
It is about those penguins, isn't it, Mom?
He listened to those creepy old men at the bank.
yes, he did.
He did. He did.
It is all about the penguins.
Oh my goodness.
Penguins.
It's all about the
Okay.
penguins, yo.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go to
You want to do me?
Ashley. Yeah, Ashley next. What's the thing you disliked the most about Mary Poppins?
Okay, I know we've talked about creepy guys at the bank, not liking the dad's songs. And on the flip side, talking about just how much we love the soundtrack to this movie's the Sherman Brothers creating such magic and having this wonderful soundtrack that goes through the entire movie. But my least favorite thing about this entire film was it felt like every scene had a song, and it felt so unnecessary to give Uncle Albert a song about how he loved to laugh.
I love that.
It felt unnecessary to give the creepy dudes at the bank where they're like whisper singing about the financial fiduciary funds and blah, blah, blah. And we didn't have subtitles on, and even if we did, I don't feel like we would have been able to understand anything that they were saying. And because they were creepy, did you really need to give them a song? Did they need more attention on them than they did? And outside of the father's Let's Go Fly a Kite, I didn't feel like any of his songs were necessary. I didn't need a suffragette song from the mothers. So all these side characters having all of these extra songs, I didn't feel like everyone needed a song, because the main song should have been between Mary Poppins, Bert, and the kids. And those are the ones that I remember. They're so beautiful and delightful, and they sell the soundtrack for me. And Step in Time is just this beautiful dance number. It's fun, but everything else is just so unnecessary. And I feel like that definitely didn't help with the pacing that we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because having there be a song every 5 minutes, giving a song to the creepy bankers, giving a song to Mr. Banks, giving a song to Mrs. Banks. I'm
Why
surprised.
didn't the dog get a song?
No, not the dog. I'm surprised that the cook didn't get a song. Ellen didn't get a song, but they had to be part of other people's songs, and they clearly didn't want it. So I didn't want it either. So too many songs. I'm sorry, Sherman Brothers. But your best stands the test of time, but everything else I will forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree.
Agree to disagree, Paul.
Paul, I care more about your main disagreement with this film. Yeah. So was it in that last 12 minutes where everything went to regional? Okay, go for it.
As the story's wrapping up, this is one of the morals that I got out of watching this film. And tell me if they don't act this out and that it's easy to see. Basically, one of the morals is, this is how you should live your life. That's what I'm going to call it.
Okay.
Basically, have the actions of you and your family called into question so that your employers call you into the office. And when you do come in, you tell them a corny joke so that the head boss will die of laughter, leaving an open position. To help them fill out these positions, they will reach out to you for a promotion. So don't worry about anything. Just shirk off all responsibilities and go fly a kite.
I don't think that's what they're going for. I could see how you would see that, Paul.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
That is what happened.
Yes, but he didn't know that he was going to get the job back. And I think he was...
Exactly. That's why the moral is hey, you don't know this, but if you just let everything go off the rails, everything will be fine.
Honestly, I think without God in the picture here of he's got me, he's going to care for me through this, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, it does seem like it's just I'll be fine. Absolutely. It's fine. He's like the Jerry Seinfeld. I always come up even, where he Elaine throws the $20 out the window and then he gets $20 in his coat pocket or whatever. Anyway, Seinfeld fans, I'm sure you're laughing hysterically now. Oh yeah, I remember that. But Ashley, did you get that moral at all from the end?
Not really. I mean, the only my takeaway with that kind of thing, I'm I don't think he intentionally set out to kill him. And honestly, the old guy, he was a miserable old dude. So the fact that he went out with a laugh is kind of cool. But yeah, maybe it doesn't set a good place.
That's just it. He didn't do it intentionally, and that's the point. It's hey, when you don't do things intentionally, it'll work out, because when you do, it was falling apart.
Oh, I see.
I think it's putting too much stake in people trusting that everything is going to work out without any kind of recourse.
Right. Shirk your responsibilities. Go have fun with your kids, and it'll all work out.
So I think maybe if you're taking it as seriously as you are, maybe that's a conversation that people watching this movie should have with their kids and be I know it worked out for Mr. Banks, and they all got to go fly kites at the end, but just know. If you lose your job and then you go have a conversation with your boss and he ends up dying and they give you your job back because his death gave an opening, that's probably not how life works. So think about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Very fair. So, Womp Kids, should I have that conversation with you guys?
Don't go telling jokes that will kill your daddy's boss.
I was distracted. What do you mean? Because that was very bad.
Yeah. So
hold on. Let's go back.
I'm just going to say, don't be telling jokes about a man with a wooden leg named Smith and then say what's his other leg's name.
Yeah.
Because it'll be so funny it might cause someone to die.
Exactly. It looks like
horrible.
That leaves me for my Tragic Maker. Okay. This is going to involve Francisco's Fabulous fan fiction. So stick
here
with me.
we go. Buckle up, everybody.
Okay. So
we need a sound clip for that.
The thing I disliked the most about this film was the whole animated sequence. Right in the middle, it was...
Oh, my.
The Holly Jolliday? I mean, the Jolly Holiday?
Which part of the animated sequence? There's so much animation, Francisco.
All of it.
All of it?
The whole animated sequence.
The penguins, the people, the horses, all of it?
They shouldn't go into chalk pictures. That's of the devil.
But it was so magical and wonderful.
Here's the thing.
Okay, try to explain
Here's
this.
why. In of itself, it was very charming. It was very beautiful. It was awesome. The way they were able, I was like wondering after, did they like have Dick Van Dyke and Julie Andrews record first and then they animate around it, or they animate and then put them in? Is very well done. Technically is wonderful. Animation wise is great. The characters are fun. I had no problem with the sequence in of itself. If that was the whole movie, that would have been great. But to plop that whole thing in that progresses the story not a bit. Not in my mind, it doesn't do a bit. They do so many other magical, fantastical things that it does not make sense to just slow down. I mean, if all it was going to be was a race, like they get on the carousel and then go on the horse race and stuff, and supercalifragilistic, I think that'd been enough. You didn't need more. Then it's like, but then I was thinking, well, then why is she in a fancy dress? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So here's my Francisco's Fabulous fan fiction. How you get the fun animated sequence. You still get to have some of that. You still get some of the magic. Here's what you do. You take out that whole sequence. You don't need it. And then what you do in place of it is when you go to, I keep wanting to say Fat Albert, Prince Albert, Uncle Albert's place. It turns out he is stuck inside a painting and he's become animated because he's laughing so much. Is something magical about that? And then Dick Van Dyke starts laughing and he gets drawn into the paint and he becomes animated, and it'd be this cool sequence where you have these live action characters becoming animated and then they have to get sad to get out of the painting. It's the same sort of thing, except instead of flying, they're becoming animated and unanimated. And I think that'd be so much better. You'd still capture the fun animation. You could still do a song. You don't have to have this weird wires effect where everyone's sort of floating. Mary Poppins could still be serious. It could be the same thing, just a different magical element. And you still get animation. Tighten up this movie so much better.
Nope.
Cut, print, done.
Nope, the Ruiz cut is not gonna fly.
I think
with,
it will.
With the audiences of Mary
It's not flying,
Poppins.
Ashley. It's not flying. We're on the ground. We're in a painting. Exactly.
No,
We're not
because
flying.
you're taking away
Everything
such.
you're doing is bad.
Exactly.
I want you to know this.
Yeah, you should know, Francisco, that your fabulous fan fiction is actually fantastically horrible, and you're taking away an entire generation's precious memories of this animated wonderment that takes place in the midst of this movie.
I'm giving them better animated memories.
Honestly, like I can collectively say, like growing up and watching with my family, like we just had so much wonderful moments, like watching the animated penguins.
Yeah, and
granted,
then
they were
falling
only
asleep because it was because it's just
they were only there for a short
gosh.
period of time, but you always remembered them because they were so adorable. And the way that they danced with Bert, Dick Van Dyke just became part of the scene, and it was magical and wonderful. I mean, those penguins had such a legacy in our household that we had a cookie jar of those adorable little buggers.
Have the penguins in the painting. You could still have them. You could have the whole cafe sequence.
I don't think so.
Yes, they could be serving the tea. They're doing tea anyway. It's perfect. You just put them in there.
So here's what I'll say. We'll agree to disagree. You can have your fantasies in your fan fiction in your head.
And then the Womp kids want to add in
and we'll just agree to disagree because the way that it is so much better than what you've created in your head. Sorry.
Womp Queen, what do you want to say?
Boo. Can I say something?
Yes, Womp Queen.
No.
Yes.
It's about the movie, and I realized something. The movie is all about magic.
Not all about magic, but there's magic in it. Yeah.
There's magic in it, and I think I like the magic because I like magical stuff.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Thank you for adding that, Womp King. And don't you also agree that the magicalness of what I wanted to see in the movie would have made it even more magical?
Can I rate the movie now?
We're gonna be
yes,
there.
you are killing
We're
me.
almost there. Yeah.
Can I rate the movie?
You know what?
Killing
we
me
will start
smalls,
with you.
indeed.
We're gonna get to it's time for now. We've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer. Alice, you have a firing solution for us.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
All right. Do we rate Mary Poppins a classic. We'd recommend anyone go see this. It's worth your time to watch today, whether or not you've seen it before. Is it a nostalgic? Do we rate nostalgic as in, if you've seen it before, yeah, watch it again. But if you've never seen it, don't go watch this movie. Or is it a tragic? We'd recommend no one see this movie, whether or not you've seen it before. So let's start with the
moment of truth.
The moment of truth. This is when we
Here
need
we
the
go.
drum
It all
roll.
leads up to this.
Let's start with the Womp King. What is your final reign, classic, nostalgic, or tragic for Mary Poppins?
I would rate Mary Poppins 7 out of 10.
Okay. So
That's high praise.
Is
I
that
would rate it a 7 out of 10 because the dad songs are okay, but they're kind of boring and I don't really like them. And the old man, I don't really like, so I would give the movie a 7 out of 10.
okay? So would you say that? So we have 3 reigns of classic, nostalgic, and tragic Womp King. Apparently, I didn't prep you enough in time because I'm a bad dad.
Yes.
I can't see past my own nose. Thanks for that, Paul.
Happens sometimes.
So to try again to our reigns, Womp King, would you say it's a movie that anyone should see, whether or not they've seen it before, or it's only a movie that you'd only enjoy if you have seen it before?
Would you want to watch it again, bud?
I can watch it again.
Okay. Would
you think other people
would you
should watch
tell some of your friends at school, oh, you got to go see Mary Poppins?
I would say to my friends at school, I watched Mary Poppins. Maybe you should watch it too if your parents let you.
Okay, so I guess that'd be a classic.
That does
then.
sound like a classic to me.
Okay, so we'll say classic for Womp King, which was up from your nostalgic. Womp Queen, what's your final reign? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic for Mary Poppins?
It's a tough choice.
It is really.
It's always tough.
Classic.
Or maybe.
Classic for you.
All right.
All right. Classic for you. So you go to school on Monday and say, my friends, you got to watch Mary Poppins.
No, I would not. I would go to my teacher and staff members and say that because my friends don't like that kind of stuff.
So nostalgic.
Oh.
No, classic.
I'm very but
I wouldn't tell my friends. I would tell my friend adults because they're not into that stuff.
Okay.
She knows
Kids
people.
these days aren't into
See,
that
Francisco,
stuff.
she knows people
Kids
well enough to
these
who to
days.
share it with.
That sounds like a nostalgic or tragic to me, but
Classic.
It's a classic to her, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And she knows who she would share it with.
all right. Ashley, you had predicted classic. Where's your final reign for Mary Poppins?
Well,
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. So I will say that I may have some qualms with it, and sometimes you do need a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. But like Mary Poppins herself, this movie is practically perfect in every way, so I give it a classic.
Thank you.
Classic. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay. Very nice. Paul, how about yourself?
Took the words right out of my mouth because I was going to say the same thing.
Oh, really? Oh,
This
wow.
movie is so enjoyable
It
and
is.
delightful, minus a few things.
Yeah.
I would even recommend the Francisco cut if you've never even seen it at all, but I would really recommend you not see that and see the version that everybody else can see because I think as boring or slow or unpaced or even the morals aside on what you can get out of it, it's still wonderful and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Cinematic masterpiece. They don't make
I
movies like
agree.
this anymore.
I guess I'm the lone dissenter because I would actually rate this nostalgic. It's worth watching again, but I think it's just the pacing has really got me, and that whole animated sequence. I'm telling you, it's really slows down the film. If you guys could figure something else to cut from this other than the parent songs, which I think
We'll
those could
just
also be
cut you
but-
from the viewing experience and we'll be fine.
Wow, thank you for that, Ashley.
Well, you're the only one who feels that way, so.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so much to love about this film. I'm sad that it gets bogged down by all the fat, all the
bloat.
The bloat. Yes, that's a
I
good
use
way
the
to put
word bloat.
it. Bloat. So according to the and I forgot. I neglected to say our reflux capacitors are that support us at the $5 level, which is the base level now. But they collectively, I think there was just one vote this time, but they rated this a classic as well. So again, I am really the lone dissenter here. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Mary Poppins an only slightly disputed classic film. We recommend anyone go see it, whether or not you've seen it before. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back. We wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1964 to begin with, though, if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz. Oh, you're right here. Kennethan, Fabulous Lomax, Rosie Lomax, 18, That's Our Babo, D. Tungsten, Dale, Mr. Lost, Gerald Hafner, Cool Deluxe, Redeemed Otaku, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help keep us flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
This stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com, reviewing older games and movies that do well or bomb. If you listen long enough, you might say they're spot on. Check out more reviews on RetroRewindPodcast.com.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we want to give a big old-fashioned Disney hug to our guests who came on to help support us with their reviews of Mary Poppins. So while we're thanking people, we want to give a big old-fashioned Disney hug to our fabulous guests for supporting us with their views on Mary Poppins tonight. And since we go alphabetically, we'll start with Ashley. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Nothing cool really going on at the moment, but you can always find me on Instagram and Twitter at Ashley Ruiz 1186. Find me where I tweet about all things faith and fandom.
All right. And alphabetically next is Womp Queen. Sorry, Womp King.
Womp King,
I know my alphabet.
Yeah.
Womp King. I don't know what to ask you without violating some child labor laws.
Just thank you for being on, Womp King. Hopefully you have fun.
Thank you for being on, Paul.
Oh, thank you for being on. And also to the Womp Queen. Thank you very much.
Wait. You can find me on Roblox.
Me too.
Don't give out your tag.
Why?
Because people can find you. It's just a privacy thing. Any last words you want to say before we leave, guys? Either of you.
Go to PaulJPowers.com.
Oh my God.
Wait, play the song again.
No, we're not going to play it.
That was a great song.
Please, no. I want the song.
I'll have Paul send it to us so you guys can hear it.
Yay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Womp King, Womp Queen, and all you rewinders, old or new, and my good friend, my poppin' best friend Paul here for another. Thank you all for another fun voyage, and just thank you guys.
Bye.
You're welcome, and you can find me PaulJPowers.com at
Good night, Ashley.
at goodnightashley.com or PaulJPowers.com. Actually,
and you can find me on our Discord or for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
Good night.
Good night.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
And as Nathan just said, we are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media. And with that, Captain, it looks like we may need to wait for the next riddle to unlock. Hopefully this was the right movie to review.
Too, Paul.
I thought it was DuckTales the movie.
So we'll see. Maybe it's not
check
right.
Check out those ship logs, everybody.
Exactly. And thank you, XO, and thank you all for listening, for helping us with these riddles. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we got to catch you all for the next episode, which hopefully you can help us find out what that is in our ship's logs on the next Retro Rewind podcast, next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.com.
Fourth dimension of D mission complete. Decoding next riddle. View RRP ship's logs for more details.
Mary Poppins, you won't ever leave us, will you?
I shall stay until the wind changes.
But Mary Poppins, how long will that be?
Goodbye, Mary Poppins.
You're
Or-
great, Paul.